Big things are happening this afternoon in Gallivan's Ferry, 2 p.m. What are they? You'll find out coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at the Myrtle Beach Herald. We're focused on the Gallivan's Ferry, historical marker unveiling to be held today at 2 p.m. And we're visiting with Joel Carter, the chairman of the Horry County Board of Architectural Review. Good morning, Joel.
Good morning. How are you?
Great to see you this morning.
Good to be here.
A big day today at 2 p.m. out there.
I'm just hoping a lot of folks come out and enjoy.
I think you'll have a heck of a lot of folks out there, and particularly with so many activities going on, you've got a lot of different facilities that are being recognized today.
We do. The Gallivan's Ferry Historic District is it's about a 750-acre tract with 28 historic buildings.
28 different buildings.
Right.
Now, are they all being recognized today?
No, in general, they are. We have two markers. One is focusing on Gallivan's Ferry.
Right.
As you know, before we had 501, there was just a ferry.
Right, yeah.
And so we're going back to the history of the ferry, which began, as far as the name, to 1792. And then talking more about development of the Gallivan's Ferry community since then, with the development of the community and the farming aspects, tobacco and the tenant farms, and of course the pine industry.
Right,
So
yeah. The grist mill, all that out
Right.
there. It's so exciting to see some of the facilities that y'all, of course, for viewers who normally just ride through on 501 would see the former Esso station there and see John Monroe, Holiday's home place, and that's pretty much it, I guess, for some of the, but there's quite a few things that y'all will be recognizing today that are behind there, I mean, that you don't see off of 501.
There are. I think most people have seen the 8 buildings that are clustered around 501
Right.
and Gallivan's Ferry. The family calls it Main Street.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's on where the road veers off to the right in front of the barn.
Right.
And there are various houses there, stores, barns, several types of barns, everything from fertilizer barns, potato barns, pack houses, sheds, that sort of thing. But it is a part of South Carolina that nationally, the National Park Service, who actually reviews our nomination for historic districts, thought it was worthy of being so recognized.
And there's a heck of a lot of places that apply for designation or recognition that do not get it.
A lot of people love to be recognized, but cannot because they're just not qualified.
Real quick about yourself, Joel. Are you originally from the area?
I was born in Bennettsville. My parents were in the ministry and actually were living in North Carolina, in Laurel Hill.
In Laurel Hill?
Right. So, and I did not come back to live in South Carolina until I graduated from college, and my first job was in Florence. And then I moved to Beaufort, where I really, I'll take that back. I was exposed to historic preservation in Florence because the firm I worked for there had the distinction of being the oldest continuously operating firm in South Carolina.
Is that right?
It passed from grandfather to grandson, and we had worked on some buildings that the grandfather had designed, added on and renovated. And then in Beaufort we did some storefront renovations along Bay Street, and in Savannah a renovation of a 1790s warehouse into actually it's an advertising department for the newspaper there on Bay Street.
Well, that'd be interesting. The newspaper there in
Savannah.
That's been around a heck of a long time, that paper. Now, you said you finished college. Was that in North Carolina?
I finished college at NC State in 72.
Great. In 72? You're kidding. Wow, that's a ways back there, Joe. Not to date you there, but
I got I got some history myself.
Yeah, yeah. NC State, and of course, for the desire to get back to South Carolina, was it because you were born in Bennettsville, or did you think about staying in the Triangle, for instance, to get an architectural work there? Or
It just was circumstance. It's the first job.
right down I-95 to
right.
Florence, yeah.
And I enjoyed it. I feel like I got a wonderful background at the firm there, and because they had been in existence so long,
Yeah.
and I was exposed to drawings that had been done, ink on linen,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
that sort of thing.
No.
Those things are museum pieces today.
Yeah, they would have to be.
When work slowed down, I'd be out in the shed cleaning those things out and organizing them.
Do you still keep up with the members of that firm? The firm's still going, or?
It is. It was Gill, Wilkins, and Wood, and Dick Wilkins and Alan Wood are still around. They've sold the firm to Moser, I believe. But I do keep up with them, and they really treasure the education.
I don't think a heck of a lot of folks understand the impact of architects on, I mean, you know, they see a building, they go through a building, there's a heck of a lot that goes into planning out a building well ahead of time. I don't know if folks totally understand that. How do y'all go about making decisions as to some of the things that, of course, we surely want to focus on today's big event and the at 2 p.m. out in Gallivan's Ferry, but when you think about your own business and reflect on those early days, how do y'all go about making all the decisions of what's going to be right and wrong in a building?
Well, I think your education trains you to think about the process of design, and in some colleges you're exposed to different levels of buildings, low-rise, mid-rise, high-rise, public, private. And you get a little taste of that, but you really learn a lot more, I think, in your apprenticeship when you work with the firm. And I guess you're trained to be a problem solver, and there's several roles, I guess, a design firm, an architect goes through. In the beginning, they're trying to ferret out the wants and needs, desires of the client. What do you want in your building? What do you want it to be? What do you want it to look like? What do you want it to cost? How do you want it to function? And so the first phase of that is just getting all that information on the table. And the role of the architect is to take that information and create some solutions for the owner's review. And it just comes with practice, I think.
One of the things is having that commonsensical approach, which must be difficult at times, where an owner of a piece of land says, I want this incredible facility, but I want to pay this incredibly small sum. I mean, you're having to go through, I'd really like to do that, but we can't quite do that for what you're giving. I mean, that must be difficult at times, Joel.
Believe it or not, some of the toughest projects are the low-budget projects, and I think if an architect can design a project on a low budget, that's a real an accomplishment. As much as an unlimited budget, maybe it's not as difficult, or someone who is not as demanding, or maybe don't even know what kind of project they want. They just want square footage. They want an investment.
Right.
But a home is a really particular investment for family. You know.
Yeah. Now, do you design homes as well?
We do some. We do mostly commercial, but we do a few.
This is Carter Architecture.
Right.
Okay, sure. How long has Carter Architecture been in existence?
We've been on my own since 1990. I've been in Myrtle Beach since 1980.
Almost 15 years. You've been in ORE for almost 25 years.
Right.
Wow. And, of course, your involvement with the Horry County Board of Architectural Review, how long has that been going?
Since 1987.
Is that right?
Yes.
Share with viewers how that was set up, how the board was set up, its primary responsibilities, and is it almost exclusively and focusing on dedications of historically recognized areas, or are you involved? You're involved in architectural review all top to bottom.
Well, in '87, the county created an ordinance which actually, with certification from the state, Department of Archives and History, we became a certified local government. If you have qualified members of the board who can review historic sites and structures, and the first challenge was to find what we had in the county. So we commissioned a survey, historic survey of all the properties, the historic properties in the county, which for the most part is more than 50 years old. All there are circumstances where they don't have to be quite that old. But that survey identified over 500 properties in Horry County, which kind of surprised me.
Yeah.
I would not have thought of Horry County as having that much resources, historical resources. And we had, that's not counting the 4,000 or so tobacco barns.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure that every one of those.
A lot of homesteads.
Sure.
It's just scattered. You know, Conway has a really intact historic district in town, but the rest of the county is relatively new. It is the outlying districts, the farming areas in those communities where we find the bulk of the historical resources in the county.
That's fascinating. The county's so large geographically. Of course, y'all have to serve. I mean, this isn't the Myrtle Beach Board of Architecture Review or the Loris Board. I mean, you're talking about geographically the largest county in the state, probably the largest county in North and South Carolina.
We are the only county in South Carolina that is so certified.
Is that right?
Right now. Beaufort County is looking into it. Charleston County has not been, it's just in the city. We are the only county that's been so certified. Others are looking into it, I think. Richland County's looking into it. So we kind of broke new ground back then. And our purpose is to identify the historic resources and to develop a plan for protecting those. And to do that, we graded those 500, you know, and the best examples, those that may be worthy of national recognition, National Register nomination, and then the second choice with those that might not quite meet that higher standard but may be worthy of a local Register of Historic Places. And then the third with those that would like to save, but maybe they were not in as good a shape, and maybe it would take a lot of effort to save.
Right.
And then once we culled that list down and we developed a top 100 that we've recommended to council for designation. Council is reluctant to make that a mandatory thing because of the consideration for personal property rights. And so for the longest while it's been a voluntary thing. And we are trying to encourage people to be listed because there are several advantages.
What are some of those advantages, Joel?
Well, there are tax advantages. There's a 10% state income tax credit for qualifying structures. There's a 25% income tax credit for rehabilitation of owner-occupied residences.
Is that right?
Yes.
Wow.
Horry County in mid-1990s, we created an ordinance for a tax incentive which freezes property taxes for 10 years at the pre-modification level. So if you're going to improve a historic property by painting, doing air conditioning, repairing the roof, repairing siding, say you had a $100,000 house and you did $100,000 worth of renovations, then your taxes would stay at the $100,000 level. And so those are some of the tax benefits. But there's some other intangible benefits that we have found. The Department of Archives and History recently commissioned a study by the University of South Carolina about value of historic preservation. And they found that in 3 or 4 different communities in South Carolina, how the value of the properties were higher in historic designated properties.
Really? Right.
There's also a value to tourism.
I bet there would be. Sure.
Actually, Horry County has the potential of seeing the third avenue of historic and cultural tourism. We've already got number 1 and 2 with the beaches and golf. And number 3 in the state is historic and cultural tourism.
And do they call that heritage or?
Heritage,
yeah,
they have
I've heard
heritage
that.
trails along Abbeville to Charleston.
Right.
Nobody thinks about Horry County, but we've got some brochures we've developed. While we're waiting for these properties to be listed,
Sure.
we said we'll do an education ploy. So we spend our time developing our educational tools. We speak to classrooms. We have spoken to elementary schools, middle schools.
This be your Board of Architectural Review.
The board
going out.
members. The board
You're
members.
kidding. Who are some of those other board members, Joel?
Well, some of the original members that serve are Jane Charles, Bill Long, Tempe Ayler is on there, and a new member, David Douglas, and myself.
Yeah.
We do have openings, actually. We recently reorganized with the enabling legislation in this past year to update our ordinance, and council gave us 10 slots for members.
Is that right?
and
From
we-
5 to 10.
5 to 10.
That's exciting.
So-
How would a viewer who's possibly interested in becoming active with the Board of Architectural Review get their name in it to be nominated?
All they'd have to do is call the county planning office. It's 915-5340.
Okay, 843-915-5340. And just
Right.
hold up those
Sure.
those brochures. I know viewers can't really get a touch of what they are, but Socastee, you've got Little River, and of course the historic Horry County, the entire thing.
Our goal was to develop brochures
Thank
about the county. We started off with historic Horry County to just give a sampling of
Sure.
the buildings in the county. And then we started by districts, and we said, well, we'll do Little River, Socastee. Gallants Ferry is next on the list for
For
this
the
coming year.
brochures. That's great.
We're going to do a brochure. And actually, we have found they're flying off the shelf.
They've got to be. I was about to ask, where could a viewer get one?
The county office in Conway has them.
Okay.
The visitor centers have them. A lot of them have them at the state line.
Sure.
Little River Chamber, Myrtle Beach Chamber has them.
Okay.
So, and we're trying to get them online, so at least people can also look there and see what other things we have.
They need to get that online if they're not already online. That'd be a
Yes.
great thing. They could open them up in a PDF or otherwise. That'd be a great thing. Let's go ahead. We got about 7 or 8 minutes, Joel. Time is flying. I want to surely focus on the historical marker unveiling and just break down for viewers, if they showed up there, what time they need to be there, where exactly do they need to come, and what's going to be going on? What's the significance of today?
Today, it is the first markers that we have placed in a historic district. We invite everybody to come out because it'll be an opportunity to be a part of that historical event. I know the stump speaking meetings are always well attended.
Right.
This is different in that we're honoring the place and the events that happen there. And in a sense, taking a look at our own history, our own heritage, and preserving it for our children and grandchildren. And it's wonderful that this place has been preserved as it has by the Holiday family, the friends, the citizens of Galloway Ferry, because it allows us to look back at an earlier day when things happened differently.
Right.
When political debates, political speeches are not made in sound bites, they're not made on television.
That's
you go
right.
and see, and you can see the nuances of an in-person type of presentation. And not only that, the buildings, you can see the way of life still preserved there.
Absolutely. That's very important. Let's go ahead and go through these numbers of pictures that you brought with you to give a feel of what some of the locations are. Maybe we can start with the first shot you've got there.
This is the George Judson Holiday Barn, built in about 1928. And it's actually 4 levels, but it has a ramp up. And it is probably the signature icon of Galloway's Ferry, because that's what everyone sees coming back and forth on Highway 501. This barn was actually saved from demolition in 1970 when US 501 was dual laned. It was, if the road were not shifted 28 feet, that much of that barn would have been cut off.
Wow. That would have been pretty dramatic, yeah.
It would have been.
Yeah.
I haven't been all the way up inside, but they've got several functions there. They have it's used for storage, it's used for tobacco, and there's a vehicular and stable type place down below.
And this second shot is the Baptist Church?
Yes, it dates back to the 1880s. And we didn't say much about that on the marker, but all communities have churches and cemeteries, and it's nice to know that this one, the one that dates back, is still there.
Right, right. And this grist mill, these are fascinating shots.
They're part of how things happen. In fact, the grist mill was one of the earlier buildings. As those are on, we've showed pictured today. It goes back in the 1910 range. So you got to have something to eat.
Oh yeah.
You got to have something to eat, and so does your livestock.
Oh yeah.
So it's kind of like staples of life bread. You know?
It is amazing to see, and of course, so many of these are great shots. The Esso station is very popular. Again, everyone sees that, and this shot of Senator Hollings and the stump speaking.
This was the 50th anniversary this year, I believe, of the stump meeting.
That's correct.
And he retired this year, and we're so glad to see him there this year. And I've just started going myself recently, and I just enjoy it.
It was amazing.
It's an event, and some historical places are given recognition because of the design character,
right,
or something happening there, or a famous person. This is more around this event, this stump speaking.
And the amazing folks that have been coming through as far back as General Wade Hampton back in 1876, and then coming back in 1880 as the governor himself. I mean, to have known that a lot of his kickoff happened back then, and so many of those stumps have disappeared throughout the state. But the holidays and others have worked so hard to continue to make that happen.
We had a list. We found Billie Holiday found a list in an 1876 newspaper, which listed probably 8 to 10 different places they were having stump meetings, but this is the one that remains.
Yeah, it is amazing. For a viewer, we just got a couple of minutes, Joel. If a viewer was coming out today, they wanted to make the trip out there to recognize the unveiling of the dedication, where should they go and what time should they be there?
Well, the dedication ceremony starts at 2 o'clock.
Okay.
A little bit before that, and park on the convenience side store by the Esso station. When the Esso station convenience store, park it there.
Okay.
And our first marker we're going to unveil is going to be one on the ferry side, which is in front of the barn across 501.
Okay.
We encourage people to come we'll go over in groups.
Right.
So it'll be a safe crossing. There's going to be police there to help us cross safely.
Right. Great, sure.
So we want everyone to have a safe event. And then we'll come back over on the stump speaking side near the shelter, near the Esso station where the other marker is. And we'll conclude the marker dedication there. We got speakers, council members, Senator Elliott, Chairman Gillen, Councilman Boyd, and some of the Holiday family. So
great.
We're looking forward to a good crowd.
And you're probably going to have dignitaries from all over the state and the region coming in for the event.
We have invited them, and we're really excited about it.
Expect a heck of a lot of them will make the trip. And you said it starts at 2, so if they got out there at 1:45 to park over between the convenience store and the Esso filling station, and they'll be available parking there. I'm sure there's some overflow parking all around there, and surely to be there for the event that kicks off right at 2. For yourself, Joel, and I know we talked about some of the other board members, but the opportunity is for a viewer who's possibly interested in really getting involved to call that 915 number and to make an effort to get active with the Horry County Board of Architectural Review. What's been the most exciting part for you?
Well, I think it's all exciting, but the most exciting part, I think, is when you can go to a classroom and talk to children about this. And another one of our efforts is, as far as education, is developing a lesson plan teaching kit. And we're working on one now about the upper mill in Bucksport. And it's going to be on a website, and it's going to give teachers a lesson plan kit that they can teach about the history of Horry County as it relates to state and national history.
That's fantastic. Joel, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you.
Definitely. Stay tuned to more Carolina People with Joel Carter coming up next. The paths and gateways to our future develop from our past. Think of that, our past. You know, you oftentimes think of the gateway to Myrtle Beach as cruising down 501, whether you're coming in from Lumberton, Laurinburg, or coming in from Ohio. It's often used. You roll through Gallivan's Ferry every time you come down. Today's the day. Get out there 2 p.m. The public is invited. The Horry County Board of Architectural Review will be there to recognize the Gallivan's Ferry Historical District. There's so many communities that need recognition. Gallivan's Ferry is getting the recognition today. They deserve it so much. They've been building that area for so long. To think back to 1792 with Richard Gallivan, to think of 1876 with General Wade Hampton, later Governor Wade Hampton, and to think about John Monroe Holiday and Billy and Russell and Christie and so many now carrying on the tradition that'll be recognized day in and day out. You've got a lot of folks out there. The public's invited 2 p.m. That's Highway 501 right there at the PD River. Get out there.